Welcome you into the Hannycast for Monday, April the 13th. I'm Charles Hanagriff along with former Tiger coach Dan Canevari and LSU with a poor week. No way to put it other than that. Losing the midweek game to Bethune-Cookman 10-7 and then swept at Ole Miss 6-3. Run ruled 12-2 on Saturday, and they lose on Sunday after erasing a 7-0 deficit to get even. They lose that one 8-7. So, Dan, before we get into the particulars of this, what's Jay Johnson's first message to this team when they re-hit the field for tomorrow's game against Northwestern State after a week that left a lot to be desired?
Charlie, that's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough question. I think probably the one thing he can say to him is, okay, guys, we got to salvage the season here. Okay, this thing can go south in a hurry. Okay, we've got to focus in on one pitch at a time. Let's just try to get better on every pitch, and let's slowly grind ourselves out of this. And guys have to step up. The bottom line is it's time to step up. And we all got to bond together, and let's salvage this thing and make a playoff and get hot and play well at the end of the year. But if we wallow around and we wait for things to get better, it's not going to happen. And we're LSU. There's a lot of tradition here. There's a lot of fans that have supported us. It's time for us to produce. And I mean, it's about all you can do.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I would just say, forget about, I don't know that they think like this, but I know certainly the fans in the media talk like this a lot about big picture. And when you're with LSU, it's easy to get into big picture and regionals and hosting and Omaha and all that stuff. And I would tell you right now, go try to beat Northwestern State tomorrow night. I'm serious.
Let's be who you are. That's who you are right now. You're right there with Northwestern State. It's a real ball game. You got to win a game.
Yeah, you've taken enough of these midweek games and lost your focus to where it's really made a mark. And don't think about, I get this all the time, Dan, and I understand why. Like, what do they have to do this weekend? What do they have to do this week? Man, look, put that away. Okay, don't get into, well, they went 6-9 in the first half, so they got to go 8-7 in the second half. Forget that for right now. Try to go win a game. And if that means use 3 of your best pitchers, then go win a game doing that. If it means you got to empty the bench and use every last pinch hitter, pinch runner, pinch fielder, I know there's no such thing as a pinch fielder. You know what I mean? A defensive, whatever it is you got to do to go win a game. And after that, try to win another one. And then that's it. You got to narrow the focus, quadruple the focus, because right now it's just not there. So we got
winning is contagious, and so is losing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's very true, and they got to get a lot of stuff worked out. We're going to get into all of the games as soon as we tell you about Cina, located in the heart of downtown Hammond, an upscale Italian restaurant serving traditional dishes in contemporary fashion, inspired by the abundance of fresh local produce and the ways of old. Cina, creating a unique dining experience, using local ingredients and delicious recipes to create an exceptional dining experience and a fresh, inclusive atmosphere that can be enjoyed by everyone. In the heart of downtown Hammond, Cina Italian restaurant. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Friday night, not because chronologically it's the way to go, Dan. I'm gonna start with Friday night because it was the game that drove me the craziest of the three. And I understand that they got blown out on Saturday and the big comeback on Sunday, but the game that drove me nuts was Friday night. Now, I want you to correct me as I go here. If I say anything that is out of line, you're not going to hurt my feelings, but this is how I felt as Joe media watching a game. There were 5 things that happened in this game that I wrote down that I think take very little or no talent. You talk about the no talent things like showing up on time and stuff like that. These were things that should be at the absolute base of your baseball knowledge. Okay. I'm gonna go in the order I wrote them down, Dan. First inning, you got runners at the corners and 1 and 2 outs. Okay. You've already pushed 2 runs across, so you're off to a good start. and you've got a veteran pitcher in Hunter Elliott who is not struggling, but he's off to see this with veteran pitchers sometimes takes them a minute to get in the groove. So you got a chance to do some real damage here. And Cade Arambidi gets picked off of third base. Dan, I'm sorry. That play simply can't happen. You let Elliott off the hook in what could have been a big inning. A base hit gets you another run. An extra base hit gets you 2 more runs. You got an opportunity there, and that's just an inexcusable mistake in my opinion.
Okay, there's 2 things wrong with that, okay,
right.
in baseball terms. Number 1 is don't make the first or the last out at third base. Ever. Charlie with a little seat adjustment there. That's number 1.
So I can see you.
Yeah, that's number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 is don't get picked off if you're not stealing. Those are just baseball simple things that are in the so-called book of baseball, that everybody knows. Okay. The sad part is the kid's going to get drafted. He's a good player, and he didn't know that in that situation. You have to play the game. You can't just be a prospect. That's very disappointing that he didn't know that.
Well, and Dan, when I say the no talent things, I mean the things that you learned at the very beginning of your baseball career. How many guys have you coached that can hit 4 home runs in a game in the Southeastern Conference? Probably not a lot, right?
Only one that I coached, there were a few guys that had the ability to do that. Let's just say the first one, Brandon Larson.
Yeah. So,
but not a lot. He did some unbelievable things.
5 days before this, hit 4 home runs in a game. I mean, that takes extraordinary talent. And 5 days later, you do something that any Pony League coach would not even Pony League. That drives me crazy. All right, so that was the first one. The second one, I'm not going chronologically here either, but in the 8th inning of a tie ball game on the road in the SEC, Mason Braun, who had 3 hits in the game, and I think has got a terrific career ahead of him here. I really like him. Singles to open the inning. He is the go-ahead run, Dan. He's the go-ahead run, and he's let off the inning with a single. This is great. Other than hitting the ball over the fence, this is the best thing you got to hit. Okay, he gets picked off of first base. Now, getting picked off of first base, we've seen guys like you say when you're stealing or whatever, it happens. But don't you have to be aware that you're in the 8th inning, you're on the road, you're the go-ahead run in a tie ball game? That one to me is also inexcusable.
Question is, was he stealing? And the answer is he's not a base stealer, right?
Right.
He's not. Okay. So no outs on the bases in that situation. You just can't have any outs on the bases. Both things you just mentioned are guys that unfortunately are coming through a system where fundamentals aren't taught like that anymore. I'm coaching with the youth leagues in that same type of system, trying to improve that. Okay. In the fact of they lost the moment. They didn't understand where they were in the ball game. He got a hit. He's happy. 3 for 4, and they're not going to pick me up. Like, they don't understand the level of play that they have to have. And those are things that require no talent. And that's what's very frustrating for a coach.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I really don't want to hear that it should have been a balk. It was close. It's a left-handed guy. Look, you can't get picked off. Right-hander, left-hander. If the guy shoots the ball out of his nose, I don't care. You cannot.
Well, when he lifts his leg, go back to the base, and then when you're sure he pitches the ball, then you shuffle off. That's all you do if you're not stealing. There's no reason to get picked off. I'm sorry. You can talk to me till I'm blue in the face. Absolutely no reason, because if he was stealing, remember, he's a freshman. If he was a base stealer and he was stealing, and Elliott's got a good move, which obviously is in the scouting report because I know that just watching the games on TV, you're going to go first move. Do you know what a first move is? Charlie, do you know what a first move is?
Me, yes, yeah.
Yeah, like for the viewers out there, He lifts his leg. As soon as he lifts his leg, you run, and you run on the inside of the baseline because you're trying to beat the throw from the first baseman and get in the way of the throw by running inside the baseline because the pitcher's got a great move, but he's slow to first, and the timing is better to do that play. So if they're running that play, it's different. But to bounce off and get picked off like he did is crazy. It's crazy.
All right, I got 3 more of them, but I got to tell you about the Capital Area USSSA baseball affiliate hosting events at all levels and skills, league play, rec all-star divisions, AA, AAA, and Major League state and national events. More events lined up here as we get into the spring. For information, contact Lane Petrie at 225-771-9095. 225-771-9095, Lane Petrie, Capital Area USSSA. All right, the third one's a little bit more of a common baseball play, but I'm going to tell you why it aggravated me. And it was also, we'll go back to the first inning now, and this is a pass ball on what was a pretty benign pitch. This wasn't one of those ones that was real difficult, and it cost LSU a run. And again, you get the 2 runs in the first inning, so you're trying to get a 0. You're trying to get back in the dugout, keep the momentum on your side, and you get a pass ball. Okay, bummer. Everybody makes errors from time to time in the field. You get a pass ball. But Dan, LSU leads the league in pass balls and wild pitches by a lot with the wild pitches, okay? And you've got 30 wild pitches and pass balls in 15 SEC games. You're averaging 2 of these a game. You work with pitchers your whole life, okay? I got to believe that not only are all of the pass balls on the catchers, but I got to believe that a good bit of those are on those wild pitches as well, where you're counting on a guy to block something and they just don't. I don't want to put it all on the catchers, but a lot of it is because there's just been way too much of this stuff.
Well, there's a combination of things, and Skip used to call it a wild pitch / pass ball, meaning depending on what the pitch that was called, it's going to determine what it is. And we, as coaches, we don't really care what the scorekeeper, that's his judgment. That's for the box score. Okay, we know what's going on. So, for example, if it's an 0-2 pitch and it's called to be a curveball away, or what we used to call a wave curveball, he's going to bounce it. Okay, like that's the call. So the catcher's ready to block that ball. If the pitcher delivers that pitch and it goes in the dirt, the catcher should block it because he knows it's going in the dirt. If the pitch that's called is a curveball for a strike and the guy bounces it 3 feet in front of the plate, that's a wild pitch. Okay? Yeah. If he calls, if you call for a fastball inside and you throw a fastball away, it's on the pitcher and the catcher. What I'm saying is that combination. So are the pitches that are called being delivered where they're supposed to be? And are the catchers anticipating those pitches? Do they understand the guys on base? They have to work at it. So again, it's a combination of the pitcher-catcher communication system, pitcher delivering the pitch that's called. Not necessarily every pitch is called to be a strike. There's pitches that are called to get strikeouts. And so the catcher has to be in tune with the pitcher and has to work to keep that ball in front of him.
LSU leads. This is in conference play only. They lead the league in pass balls with 6. They lead the league in wild pitches with 24. And I'm looking it up here real quick, but I'm pretty sure they lead the league in hit batters as well. This is before you get to walks, Dan. Actually, they're not. They are. They're 11th, but that's still, plenty. Plenty
that's
guys.
Poor. That's poor.
It's not good, but it's not last. I want to be accurate here. That's 30 at least free bases before you ever get to the walks, before you ever get to the hits. I mean, it's two additional free bases a game through 15 games of Southeastern Conference play. That's why it got to me a little bit. All right, let me move to the next one. You got a runner at third base with less than 2 outs, and the runner at third base is Will Furness. Okay, Will's dad, you coached him. I know him. One of, if not the greatest hitter in LSU history, certainly in the conversation. Name's up on the wall. Eddie Furness, great hitter. Became a better fielder as his time went along. Eddie wasn't too fast, Dan. Wasn't too fast.
You and I could beat Eddie in a race in his prime with you with a new hip and me with two knees and a hip.
Now, Will is also a good hitter. Not as good a hitter as his dad, but he's a good hitter. But the speed trait went down. Okay,
Yeah, that went
also not very fast.
That stayed on the the DNA. The double helix. It stayed there.
Will Furness, great kid, really good hitter, cleanup guy for Ole Miss. Plays first base just like Dad did. Not too fast. Fly ball shallow to medium left field. And Chris Stanfield, who I think the world of as an outfielder, Dan, he's got no forward momentum to the plate. He catches his ball and makes a throw 20 feet up the line. This is a senior. This is somebody who has to know the depth of the fly ball, which wasn't deep, has to know who's running at third, who wasn't fast, and has to have some kind. This was one of these towering fly balls. One of these ones is plenty enough time to catch it with your momentum coming to the plate. And I'm not saying you got to throw a dead-on one-hop strike to the plate, but if you uncork anything reasonable, Furness is going to stop about a third of the way or so down the line and go back to the bag. None of that happened. So that play drove me crazy.
You hit the cutoff, man. He's not scoring. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. He's not. They're going to hold him up. They're just all the third base coach is doing is reading the throw. He's down the line. He's reading the throw. That's what he does.
And it was a pretty easy throw to read because now that's a physical mistake with the throw itself. But to me, it's a mental mistake not having the wherewithal to know who's running, where the ball is, and have your momentum coming towards the plate when you catch that ball, so you can uncork a good throw. Maybe I'm judging a little harshly there, but I expect more out of Stanfield because I think he's a pretty good defensive outfielder.
I don't think you blame him. I just say that's what happens when you're not playing well.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you that's unacceptable, but you got to give Stan. Okay, he had a bad play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a bad play and it didn't work. 9 times out of 10, he's going to do it right. So we got to give him a pass on that one.
All right, let's get to the last one, and this one might have been the most damaging of all because you got a runner at first base in the 8th inning, a tie ball game, and
shift is on.
You're in the shift, and you've got a young man named Ethan Kloss at second base who has not played very much. And
but he's in for defense.
Yeah, and you get a double play ball, and Kloss has gone to the bag to get the throw. He gets the throw, Dan. He misses the bag, and then the throw to first is late. Not only do you not get the double play, you don't get the force at second, and you don't get anybody out. And Ole Miss ends up scoring 3 runs, and that's the difference in the ball game. So instead of bases empty, 2 down, you got first and second with nobody out. So that can't happen. You got to be aware where the bag is.
Yeah, you got to be in position to cover the bag, even if you're in the shift. And in that situation, you got to know the runner. You got to know the speed of the ball. You got to know if you're going to get there. But the bottom line is he's trying to turn the double play. But instead, if you have some judgment, let's just get the out, maybe an arm fake to first and look for something else. Because you got to give up the double play when it's not really there, especially being in the shift. Now, how many times in a ball game, he's a freshman, correct?
Yeah.
Of course. How many times in a ball game in high school was he playing in that position to turn a double play where he was standing in the shift? And the answer is 0. Okay. So he has to understand in that situation, maybe I don't turn a double play. It's got to be like a bang, bang, easy play. Or if I'm going to turn a double play, I got to make sure I'm close enough to the bag to get there. So I have plenty of time to adjust to the throw and plenty of time to get to first. Or if the throw's late and I can't get it, then I'm just going to eat the ball and look and find it out somewhere else or just eat it.
Dan, is it just me? I want to, since I pointed out the plays for LSU, let me point out one for Ole Miss that I'm sure is going to, turn your old friend Mike Bianco crazy, which is they got the bases loaded and less than 2 outs, and they get what should have been I thought a double in the right field, down in the right field. In a perfect situation with the bases loaded and a double, you're going to get 3 runs to score if you got a fast runner at first. but you're going to get 2 no matter what. This ball goes down at absolute worst. It's a long single. Ole Miss not only doesn't score 3 runs, they don't even score 2 runs. They get 1 run, and then because the base runner's held up, the guy at the plate rounds first. He's tearing for seconds and finds out, hey, there's somebody there. So they run themselves into an out. LSU not the only team that's playing shaky fundamental baseball.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. It's all due to the portal. Due to the portal.
Yeah, but earlier you also blamed travel ball. Whatever.
Right. It's all the portal. All the portal is travel ball in college. That's the way I look at it. You get the best players, guys that have put up numbers and everything, and then you try to teach them baseball. When they get there, they don't have it in there. They don't have the instincts, because if somebody's trying to make them do something they don't want to do or they don't feel they can do, they'll just jump to another team. And unfortunately, that's the way our society is right now. And it's at the level where I'm coaching and the level that I used to coach at. And that's unfortunate. That really is. The fundamental and a knowledge of the game is slowly but surely eroding, in my opinion.
And I don't want to turn this into, back in our day thing, a couple of older guys, but man, when you go into a college math class, they don't teach you basic arithmetic. Okay.
That's it.
You're supposed to show up knowing that there's a certain level of baseball IQ that you're supposed to show up at this level and know, right?
Yeah, I've even with my kids, in the youth leagues, I explained to them and mainly the parents. You have your son in an advanced algebra class, and he still doesn't know his multiplication tables.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And we gave him problems to do. We taught it in the classroom, but he didn't do the homework, and nobody did it with him. And now he's got a test on Friday, and he gets a 62 or a 23, and what's the problem? The problem is he didn't do what he needed to do to actually get repetitions in with focus and learn the stuff. And that's what's going on. They just continue to play another game. Like for example, they just lost 4 in a row, LSU. Tomorrow night, they're going to play Northwestern State. It's like, oh, we got another game. No, you got to work to fix it before you play that game. It just keep playing. See, there's always another game, and that mindset has to change. And that's what Jay Johnson is wrestling with in a room somewhere in the United States of America today with his coaches. Like, how do we fix that?
Yeah, and I would tell you that they're not the only coaches that are sitting there wondering that. I'm going to run this number by you. And I know preseason rankings don't mean anything, but they at least give you an idea of who's planning on having a good season. LSU was number 2. Texas was number 3. Mississippi State was number 4. Arkansas was 7, and Auburn was 9. Those were the 5 teams in the Southeastern Conference that were ranked in the top 10 in the nation in the preseason. That group is a combined 38 and 36 in league play. Mississippi State, who was in the top 5, has been swept in back-to-back weekends. You know what's going on with LSU. Texas is having a reasonably good year. They lost 2 this weekend in a hornet's nest in College Station where they were waiting on Schlossnagel. They had the last game canceled. They waited till almost 10 o'clock to cancel that game last night. They really wanted to play again. The other 2 teams are 8 and 7. So LSU's not the only one that's going through this, although that doesn't make anybody feel any better, I'm sure. We're brought to you by your apparel, everythinglsu.com. Get your Lane Train. I went out to the scrimmage on Saturday, Cano, to watch the football team. Lane Train long sleeve tees, crew neck sweatshirts, decals, visor tees, all available at everythinglsu.com. Shipping out of Baton Rouge. Also, your sweatshirts, your Bayou Bandit shirts, all of your LSU polos, the Sailor Mikes, the purple and white polos, the golds, the blacks, LSU National Championship gear from last year. If you're a Lynn Rollins fan, pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye shirt. Lots of apparel, hats, hoodies, and just pretty much everything LSU, just like the site says. Everythinglsu.com. I want to ask you about another move Jay made in this game. And I'm in no way being critical because it's exactly what I would have done. But it's something
that's good.
I just want your opinion. Not that Jay needs my approval for anything, but he went to Zach Cowan, who I would say right now is by far and away his best arm out of the bullpen. trailing in the ball game, Dan. And when we were talking at the beginning about, hey, forget about big picture, forget about saving it, win one ball game. They were only down one run, but he brought him in trailing at that point. What do you, if anything, or excuse me, tied. He came in with the ball game tied. They didn't have the lead. What anything you read into that?
I
Was it
read
just
in the
the
fact that
right
he's
thing to
trying to
do?
win a ball game. It's
Yeah.
Friday night. You've got to win Friday night, and then you only have to play 500 baseball the rest of the way. The team hasn't been playing well. We don't play exceptional defense. He's got nothing out of the pen, and the game's tied. I got to win this game, and I know the one guy I can bring in the game that I feel comfortable with, and I know what I'm going to get right now is Zach Cowan. So I can't worry about anything else, but we got to hold this game and give us a chance to win it. And I'm 127% behind that move.
Me too. That's exactly what I thought you were going to say, but it sounds better coming from a coach, Dan.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's exactly what I thought. All right, let's move to the Saturday game where there's not a ton to discuss here. LSU got run ruled, but I would ask you about
well,
William
you
Schmidt.
saved the pitching.
Yeah,
You
well,
run rule.
yeah. William Schmidt through the first 3 innings was cruising. He doesn't give up any runs. I think he gave up 1 or 2 hits. I think it was 1 hit and 1 walk in those first 3 innings. And then all of a sudden the roof fell in on him in the 4th. And that really hasn't happened to him a bunch this year. But and we see this happen with pitchers from time to time. I remember Scotty Schultz in the 94 series was cruising for 5 innings against Florida State. And then, well, it got away from him a little bit. But we haven't seen this happen very much to Schmidt. What did you see?
I just saw a kid that hit the wall. You hit the wall, and one of the things about a young pitcher, he's got to figure out how to get through that with minimal damage and not succumb to 4 runs. I mean, that's basically it. And he's going to grow through that. But you're asking him to do something that he's not there yet because of the situation, of course, with Cooper Moore going down and a big ball game. There's a lot of pressure there. We lost Friday night the way we did, and now there's pressure to win this game. We've always said back when I was coaching with Skip, the Saturday game might be the most important game of the series, just like the Marble game, the second game in a regional, because if you lose Friday night, Saturday you got to win so you have a chance to win the weekend. If you win Friday night and you win Saturday, now you got a chance to sweep, and you've already got the weekend won. It takes a lot of pressure off. I think that's a very crucial role. Anthony Ianson was great last year in that role. And, of course, when you got Kate Anderson or Paul Skeens doing their work, it makes it a lot easier to be that Saturday guy. This is a tough situation. The kid just has to learn to get through it. I think he will get through that before the end of the year.
We're brought to you by Marucci Sports. Hey, look, sign up for the campus tour into the heart of the game where you can see exactly how everything at Marucci that was founded by big leaguers and their athletic trainer, top name in the game today. You can visit the wood shops. You can finish the finishing groups, all of the painting booths that they have there, museum style exhibits. You learn everything about the history and the craftsmanship behind the bats at Marucci. Then they give you a tour of the gift shop where you got some discounted rates, limited edition gear in the gift shops. Get online right now for your campus tour. You can get group rates. If you're bringing in a youth league team, and we've seen some of the teams that are coming in to play LSU go take the Marucci tour. It's maruccisports.com/campus-tour. Dan, the last 2 Sundays, LSU has put themselves in big holes. 7-0 against Kentucky, 5-0 on the road against Tennessee. They managed to come back and win both of those games. They found themselves in a 7-0 deficit in the 7th inning on Sunday here. In fact, they were being no hit, and then all of a sudden they put a touchdown up. They get 7 in the 7th. You think, well, maybe some Sunday magic here. They get the last one, except that this time they run out of magic. They tie the game, but Ole Miss gets scratched across 1 in the 7th, and that holds up through the last 2, and they lose at 8-7. Last week, a lot of people were talking about breakthrough because they had won 2 straight series. I said, wait a minute. you fall behind 5 runs, 7 runs on Sunday, and you come back. That's great. Don't make a habit of it because it's not going to be a habit. Those are unusual outcomes when you fall behind by that many, and it bit them on Sunday.
You're fighting the law of average there. Just you get only so much magic. But again, I'm going to go back to this, Charlie. This weekend, you had no hero performance. And we talked about this on the last podcast. Somebody's got to be a hero for this team to win, to overcome a lot of the mistakes, the little things that go on during the 9-inning ball game. Somebody has to be a hero to overcome that. We didn't get a hero performance any of the 3 games.
And, you get 3 home runs in the inning. Well, that's great, except that, you put yourself in such a hole to where you don't need a hero. You need a series of heroes.
Right.
You're not one swing away. You're not an arrow, a walk, and a 3-run homer away. I mean, you're down 7. So scoring side, I probably should have gone back and looked and seen how many times they've scored 7 runs in an inning this year. I can't remember very many.
Right.
But you got that, and you still lost.
Home runs are great, but one of the things I've learned through the years at all levels is they're really great to finish an inning off, not in the middle. I mean, like, 2-3 guys on base, and then you hit the homer, because generally speaking, after you hit a homer, things slow down. It takes the pressure off, and now the guys go back to work. Oh, okay, we gave up the homer, we go. 3 homers in an inning. I'm going to ask you this, Charlie, because I don't remember. Of those, how many were solos?
I think all of them were.
Yeah.
Certainly the last 2. Curiel, I think, had another hit that he drove. Curiel drove in 2 runs.
He drove in 2 runs. I see in the box score, but I didn't see the whole game.
But I think the second one was another hit later in the inning. If I remember, I was distracted a little bit. I was watching the Masters too, Dan.
Yeah, well, that happens. A lot of people were watching the Masters.
I was watching both things at one time. So, and my concentration in a 7-0 game was waning. I'll cop to that. But
here's my point. My point is, all a solo home run is a fast run. It doesn't put pressure on the hitter. If he's mature enough to say, I give him a home run, who cares? It's only 1 run. I didn't have anybody on before him. It's the same literally as if you walk the first guy in the inning and you figure, oh, that guy's going to score because that's the way baseball works. And you just move on and don't let anybody else score, and you put up a single digit. Okay, that's the way to look at it. But if I walk a guy, then I give up a hit, and then the guy hits a 3-run homer, that does damage more than just hitting some chippies and getting a quick run here and there.
A lot of times they kill rallies.
Yes,
a lot of times,
especially nowadays. And I'm going to get on my soapbox. Especially the days of I think it's more important to the players right now, because the way it's evolved, to work on their celly than work on hitting the breaking ball. I think so. Once you do the celly, the innings, everybody's excited, and the next guy strikes out on 3 pitches because they're still in the celebration.
We're brought to you by Dependable Storage. DependableStorage.com. Climate control units, indoor and outdoor RV boat parking in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Houma, Jefferson, New Orleans, Prairieville, Slidell, Youngsville. Climate controlled storage units. If you're a resident, if you're a college student, you got to store some stuff for the summer. If you're a business owner, if your facilities cater to diverse needs here that require climate control, because we got bad heat, humidity in South Louisiana, get a storage unit near you. They'll let you use their moving truck for your move-in, conveniently located storage for every need. At DependableStorage.com, like Skip Bertman always says, at Dependable Storage, we want your stuff. 4 games this week, all of them at Alec Box Stadium. And then they'll wrap around with a game against UNO next Tuesday. Northwestern State on Tuesday night, and then 3 games with A&M, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Dan, we'll find out from Jay Johnson probably tomorrow a little bit more about Cooper Moore, getting him back. It's been a few weeks now. What I'm just going to ask you garden variety, because I know you don't know Cooper Moore's, exact situation. But garden variety, this type of injury, you've been out a few weeks. What's the build back to get Cooper Moore back where he was, he was a pretty solid 5-inning guy?
60, 65 pitches, in my opinion.
Time back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
60 to 65 pitches, if you can get that far, and then you put it down, and then you have to see how he reacts after that.
And then, okay.
Any problem before the 65 pitches, you got to pull him and reevaluate.
Okay, good enough. All right, we'll see if the Tigers can rebound this week with 4 games at Alex Box Stadium. For Dan Canevari, I'm Charles Hanagriff. This has been the Hannycast.